and welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us here at Enter the Bunker, where we are launching you into thriving. And today we are going to be getting into some very exciting building brick, which you can use in your own world to be able to build your own personal bunker, which is what we do here at Enter the Bunker. I am your co-host, Jonathan Bahai, and I am the owner of this 64,000 square foot nuclear bunker, which we are broadcasting from here live. And we are also helping you to be able to build your own personal bunker, so
you can do that. My name is Kelly Cadell, also co-host of the show. I do not own the bunker, but I work here and it's probably the best job ever. So if you're watching on Twitch, be sure to go to YouTube at Enter the Bunker, like, follow, subscribe, ring that bell so you get all the notifications when we go live on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. Also, Instagram after the video. Go follow that too. It's at Enter the Bunker as well. And what are you trying to grab there? Is that a soap pump?
A weight.
So pick it up. I'll take one of those strawberries.
What is this behind us?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weight of fairness, I bet.
Well, I don't think it's a weight. Well, that's a weight.
It's a scale.
On a scale, yes.
Yeah, that's what I meant, sorry.
Yeah, and clearly this weight is winning over the strawberries. There is not enough strawberries in that pan.
You need more strawberries, that's telling you.
Yeah, it's not fair.
No, it's not fair.
Yeah.
So speaking of fairness is our building brick of the week.
The building brick of the week is fairness.
It is. So what do you think fairness is, and what do you think fairness is?
What do I think fairness is?
Yeah, I asked the chat. Yeah. You guys.
Okay. Let us know what you think fairness is. So fairness, the best way I can describe fairness is basically that it's where you take a very holistic view of things and you do not leave things out, so that when you do judge something, you are being fair in your judgment.
Right.
Because once you start to get like a very, what's called a tunnel vision, and you start to leave things out, you start to have a certain kind of prejudice, if not discrimination, and then that's when you start to be unfair in the way that you see things.
If you're biased towards something.
And you're biased, yeah. So it's really, I mean, it's not just in how you see things, it's how you treat people, it's how you see the world, and being able to have a vision of fairness is something that's very important to everybody's life.
Yep. Fairness is when the quality of making judgments that are free from discrimination. So pretty much exactly what you said, except for you went to much more detail. When someone shows fairness in making a decision, they're pleasing all parties involved and offering a solution that is attractive to everyone.
Everyone.
So, fairness. Do you think that it should be a solution that is attractive to everyone? Like, how do I go into about that? Yeah.
So, yeah, it should be something where, just like that scale we saw in the picture, it balances out, right?
Yeah.
So,
but it didn't balance.
Well, that one didn't balance. Here's the thing, though. If one person is looking at it holistically and being very fair in their overall vision of things to be able to come up with a solution, but then somebody else is not being fair, and they're only being tunnel visioned, and so then they don't take into account anybody else, what happens?
Right.
That's where, even though there is a solution that is fair to everybody, somebody will take it as, no, that's not fair to me, right? Because they're just only focused on themselves, or they're only focused on what they see, and therefore they actually don't see it as fair. I actually just shared an image on my social media yesterday, and it has an image of two guys that are standing over the number 6.
Okay.
But one guy is standing on one side and it looks like the number 6. The other guy is standing on the other side, it looks like the number 9. So they're both right.
Yeah.
But just because you're right doesn't mean that what you think is right.
Right. So Destiny in here says, I wanted to say fairness is equality, but at the same time, I guess equality isn't always fair as viewed by some. That's kind of the way you view things.
Exactly. Yeah.
Man, that's deep.
It's really challenging. Like,
Yeah.
it's really challenging to have fairness, in your life, if not, to be able to have it as something that's part of your life and know that you're being, like, it's really hard for people to feel like they're being treated fairly in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
Right? So it's one of those more challenging bricks, I think, in people's lives, to be able to not just be able to practice it, but to have a sense of it, like they're receiving fairness in their life.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, just think about, people's socioeconomic situation, oftentimes they just say, well, that's just not fair. I wasn't born into a rich family,
Right.
right? There's something.
Yeah.
And then, or they look at where they live in the world. Is it fair? That somebody is living in a place
That's such
that...
a tough word. Like, the more I think about it, the more I think I get confused, honestly.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, like, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it.
Well, the sense of fairness, again, is about having the holistic view.
Right. Yes.
So even if somebody is born into, let's say, what I just gave an example of a socioeconomic situation where they're living in poverty, right? Would they be able to, with having a holistic view from where they are, they may think that, yes, this may not be fair, but I also have this, this, and this. So taking everything that they take into account, instead of just focusing on the fact that they were born into poverty, they look at all the opportunities that are available to them to be able to change that if they wanted to.
Right.
Right.
Like, I don't think it's fair that Canada has pretty much unlimited supply of water, but other places have no water.
There are other places just have none.
How is that fair, world?
Yeah.
It's not.
Well, we can't roll back billions of years of evolution.
Okay, so we have a challenge for you guys this week and also for ourselves. Our challenge is try not to keep score during the week. Instead of keeping like a tally of who does what, when they do it, focus on what you're doing and appreciate those that help. Also, try completing a task that someone in your house or workplace normally does and switch roles on the tasks. This will help you appreciate what they do instead of wondering why they didn't do more or didn't do something. So try that. We'll be asking you throughout the week what you did that was like that. And yeah, do you have any ideas of what you're gonna do for those challenges?
No.
So
I find it very hard to, because I think that there's certain things that I do that I only do,
right,
that nobody else can or
yeah.
does.
Yeah.
So for me to switch up those, I'd find it very challenging.
Yeah.
But that's the point of a challenge, isn't it?
Right, it is. So I had told my kids last night that I was going to ride their little mini remote like car thing that they have,
right,
and they were going to do the dishes. They weren't having any of that. I have video proof, actually.
So to help everybody support them in their challenges this week, let's get into it. Let's have a quote. So Rick Riordan.
Riordan.
I think it's Rick
Riordan. Riordan.
Okay. He says, fairness does not mean everyone gets the same. Fairness means everyone gets what they need.
Fairness does not mean everyone gets the same. Fairness means...
Let us know what you think about that. Do you think that fairness does not mean everyone gets the same, but fairness means everyone gets what they need? Because that then means that scale that we were looking at doesn't necessarily mean fairness, because that means the same, right?
Yeah.
But they get what they need.
So there's actually 3 types of fairness. The 3 types of fairness are equality, which is like the sameness, deservedness, and need. So that quote definitely ties in with the need.
The need, yes.
Yeah. Fairness does not mean everyone gets the same. Fairness means everyone gets what they need. Let's dive a little bit deeper into the 3 types of fairness. So there's equality.
Yep.
Everything's equal. No one has more than another. Everyone eats or no one does. For example, an infant and a teenager receive the same amount of food. So that's equality. There's also deservedness. You get what you deserve. If you work hard, you succeed and keep all that you earn. You keep what you deserve and deserve nothing if it isn't earned. And the hardest working, most diligent, smartest should have more because of their attributes. And finally, there's need. Who has more to give should give a greater percentage of what they have to help others who are unable to contribute much, if anything at all. So guys, let me know which one of those fairnesses most resonates with you. So is it equality, deservedness, or need? And I'm curious about you.
So of all those three,
Yeah.
I think some of them are, like, deservedness to me is not necessarily fairness. Deservedness is a type of judgment in my estimation. Like, the idea that someone deserves something is a judgment.
Right.
Right? And judgments are poor methods of communication, and they create abstracts that are just disassociating people. So the idea of deservedness, I think, is false. When it comes to equality, the infant should eat the same as the teenager.
Yeah.
Clearly, we would have a lot of dead people.
Right.
So that
Can you
doesn't
imagine
work.
a baby eating the same amount as a teenager?
Yeah. So, I mean, the fact is that even when you think about the way nature works, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. So from a biological point of view, equality is not something that works by design. Need, on the other hand, I think is something that's very important, because I think that by need, we have a lot of, with need, that's all we really have. It's like, when it comes to fairness, it's the need of it. You know, it's the sense that I needed this to help people with others' needs is a part of being fair, right? And so when we have discussions when it comes to, especially when it comes to like the rich versus the poor, there's always that discussion of like what one side thinks is fair, right? And you'll see them jump around two categories we just talked about: what's deserved, and what's and what's needed, and things like that. And they'll jump around that. But at the end of the day, everyone's looking for what's fair, and they have challenges with that. So
I think everyone's fair. What is different? Isn't it? Like,
that's because not everybody is being holistic.
Yes.
In their view.
Yeah.
They're using prejudices and certain life experiences to say, this is fair, that's not. And so I'm going to say that you got to do this, especially, I'd say probably the most populous attitude towards wealthy people is the wealthy should give all of their money to the poor. Right? And then the wealthy are like, no. And because they give it in different ways that the poor don't necessarily see. And then there's this, and everybody's sitting on these different sidelines, and they don't know how to view fairness from a holistic point, right? So if there was time taken to actually say, like, okay, well, look at all these things that are happening, with this person and what's happening with that person. What is going to be fair in this situation? Truthfully, I think that both sides are not being fair, like in a lot of cases. But it's going to be different everywhere around. Like, that's just being very generalistic about that whole scenario of rich versus poor. But the truth is that I think that if there could be more talk about people's needs and less talk about who deserves what and what's equality, then we'd have a lot more progress in terms of having effective communication on the topic, and being able to have more fairness.
Exactly. Destiny in here is saying, okay, here's an example. The Winnipeg Jets recently allowed 500 people in the stands, and they were all nurses. Other essential workers says that's not fair. That's deservedness. Some people were so upset and screamed unfairness.
Exactly. Yep. I guess that's proof that deservedness isn't fairness.
Right. No, I agree with you on the need, for sure, with those three types of fairness. I think need is, before the live, I actually thought deservedness and need, but now I'm definitely swaying way more towards need, because now that we've talked, it's opened up my eyes. Noble says, hey everyone, so I wonder what's fair for one may not be fair to another. Bad example, but kind of like one man's garbage is another man's treasure.
Right, which kind of goes back to the question.
Equality.
Well, equality, but would you steal food to feed your family? Is that fair?
Right. Is that fair? Do you guys think it's fair to steal food to feed yourself or your family? Do you think?
So does that
I have
apply
mixed emotions with that.
So does that apply to equality, deservedness, or need?
Need.
So I'd imagine that stealing food is not coming from a place of deservedness because you're stealing.
Yeah.
There's never
yes,
anything
you deserve your food.
Yeah.
So?
Well, I guess the person who's doing it feels like they're entitled
Right.
to take it.
Yeah. I think that is.
But if it's to feed the family,
They need
usually
it.
they say, I need to feed my family.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a need that's not being fulfilled, so they feel justified in stealing food to be able to feed them.
Yeah.
Truthfully, this is more of a morality question.
Yeah, it is.
And at the end of the day, 9/10 of the law is about property. And if you lay your hands on your neighbor's property, there are severe consequences for this.
Right.
I think it's a bedrock. It's a bedrock of all civilization in terms of like what it means to like own something.
Right.
Which is kind of interesting since there's this movement to get more people not owning things and just leasing. I'll talk about another show. but the fact is that I think that from a morality standpoint, and if you look at every major religion or major philosophy, the idea of taking somebody else's property is absolutely not to happen under any circumstance. And I think that justifying it for the sake of need of feeding your family is, while it sounds noble, the truth is that you are you're losing a building brick of integrity in order to be able to feed your family, and that only leads to your whole bunker falling apart.
Right, and we don't want that to happen. Actually, let's see if the chat said anything. Okay, we were talking about the stealing for food. Is that fair? Destiny says, if that was your only option, I personally would talk to them if I saw them and would ask to pay for their groceries, because that's not fair if it's a small business owner. It's not fair to the owner, the small bit, or any owner. I guess steal from Walmart, not small businesses. I'm just joking, guys. Destiny also says, of course, laws are never fair. That's why they have courts and juries to give it multiple viewpoints, because fairness is subjective.
Truth, yes.
Yes. Okay, another one, this one too. Do you think we should pay taxes on money we earn? Do you guys think that's fair to pay taxes on money you earn?
Oh, this is a loaded question
deep.
for me. This is very loaded for me because I have very, very contrarian opinions on what taxation means. Do you believe we should pay taxes on money we earn?
And like, I guess I could go even a little more elaborate on that. Like, once you make a certain amount too, you're in a different tax bracket.
Yeah, we have different tax brackets to
Yeah.
make it look like it's fair. Right? There's different tax brackets to be like, oh, you know, as you make more, you're going to get taxed more and all that kind of stuff. So everybody who makes less, they feel better that they're being taxed less.
Yeah.
Truthfully, though, if you look at it holistically, there are many more loopholes for rich people to not get taxed as much.
Right.
And so then they end up not really paying as much in taxes. But from a perspective point of view, most people who don't know that, they think, oh, they're just being
fair.
It's fair, yeah.
But that's not fair what you just said.
Truthfully, taxation is something that I feel is, this is more opinionated, but now that we've seen the rate of inflation that's taken place in terms of the printing of money,
Yeah.
right, which is what happens with every government in the world today, that is accelerated to the point where almost 30 to 50% of all the money supply in the world was created in the last 18 months of like 100 years.
That's crazy to think about.
Then you have a situation where they have changed the game, where they are now inflating the currency, and now they don't have to tax as much, right? It's either, now people are saying, well, we're going to have to pay it back. Not if you can just keep creating more money and not having to tax the voters who will vote for you, right?
Right.
So they change the game
Yeah.
so that taxation isn't as much of an issue compared to what's going to happen with hyperinflation, which a lot of people don't even see coming because of this money printing that's happening and it's not being talked about,
Right.
So I think that in terms of being taxed for what you earn, it's a system that's based off of the idea of inflationary economics, that if there's this money that's continually being printed, then there has to be some of it taken back by the government, but the government can just keep printing more. So why would they tax you in the first place?
Right.
Why?
I don't know, chat. Do you guys know the answer?
Maybe it's so that the public thinks it's all fair.
They do.
So
make it.
they see it so that this
Think it's
taxation
fair.
system is fair, and then but the government has all these other mechanisms for actually just creating more money when they want to and everything else, and the people just end up paying more and staying poor.
Exactly. So back to the chat here for a sec. Noble says we should all be like Florida or whatever the states where they don't pay taxes. Imagine.
There are some states that there are some states that have like less, if not any like no taxation at all.
Right. Alex said a story about fairness is to help people when they need help. They think that helping people when they need help, that's a fair thing to do. We also have Destiny says, I think income tax is fine, or sales and goods with property makes sense, but every single thing is taxed and some things are even double or triple taxed. And then she goes on to say, yes, Jonathan, I completely agree.
Yeah, and you know what? She's right about double and triple taxing. Like there's taxes on top of taxes on top of taxes. I think that if there was any kind of tax to be had, consumption tax makes the most sense. And if we could just keep it to 1.
I know.
But you know why they don't do that?
No, I don't know why.
Because it would be too easy to see, and it would
the unfairness.
The unfairness would come in, right?
Yeah.
And so then, if it was so optimized to be something that's simple for everyone to understand, then people would have a sense that, oh, this isn't really fair, right?
Yeah.
Because everyone would understand what's going on. But because everyone can understand what's going on, they think it's fair.
I agree with that. All right, so guys, we're going to end off this show. Tomorrow, we're going to look at why fairness is important and how some animals can be more fair than humans.
Ooh, I wonder what animals those are.
I know, me too. So don't forget to like this video if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell so you get the notifications. We go live every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 11:30 Eastern Standard Time, and we shall see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Bye, guys.
Play fair.